It begins like a drama you can't stop watching, the story of a poor girl who slips into the life of a wealthy daughter. Her Yale diplomas? Fake. Her designer clothes? Counterfeit. But the feeling of being someone important, that part was real. And this is her story. Her name was Lee Humor. When she didn't want to eat, her father warned her that the farmer would be sad. Without missing a beat, she replied, "They're satisfied as long as they can sell the grain." That was her, seeing through people's thoughts even as a child. But brilliance meant nothing when you were born into poverty. Her father ran a small suit shop, stitching clothes to keep the lights on. Her mother, born deaf, couldn't hear the world. And Humor learned piano by pressing her fingers on a paper keyboard, dreaming of the day she'd touch real ivory keys. Then fate intervened. She found herself in the home of an American colonel, living with his lonely wife, Catherine Forrest, for 2 years. This was her first taste of another world, one that was polished, refined, and dripping in luxury. Catherine wore silk blouses, poured tea from porcelain pots, and dined in spotless rooms. Humor learned English, piano, and ballet. And most importantly, Catherine taught her a lesson that would stick with her forever. Never let anyone know what's in your hand, and never let them read your mind. But luxury doesn't last forever. Humor returned to her ordinary life. Fashion in the malls kept evolving, and her father's shop was falling behind. At 13, her ballet lessons had to stop 2 months before the autumn competition. Her classmate Paula whispered that everyone was talking about her family's poverty. The words cut deep, but Humor remembered Catherine's advice. She couldn't let them see her weakness. That night, she cried to her father, begging to compete. Tears worked like magic on parents. Her mother hugged her, and her father somehow scraped together the money. On competition day, she stepped out in a striking red tutu, head held high, a mirror reflecting a girl who refused to be pitied. She danced Esmeralda from Notre Dame, a poor gypsy girl doomed by love. Humor didn't care about the tragic parallels then. All she cared about was the trophy in her hands and the sour smile of Paula, the girl who had spread the rumors. By senior year, Humor's story took a turn that felt straight out of a scandalous romance. She fell for her music teacher. While other students' grades suffered from love, Humor's remained at the top. They met secretly in the school warehouse over sweet and sour pork. After school, she'd slip into his red sedan, sharing stolen kisses. It was thrilling, dangerous even. She felt powerful, like she'd conquered someone older, someone with authority. Her classmates looked at her with envy, but the happiness didn't last. One day, everything exploded. Their relationship was reported to the police. The teacher, the man who once whispered sweet words to her, suddenly turned into a stranger. As soon as he heard that the education department and the police were coming, he panicked, broke down in tears, and told them everything, down to the intimate details. He blamed her, claimed she approached him first. She denied it, but he silenced her. What does the child interject when the adult is talking? Child. That word stung. Why hadn't he called her that before when it suited him? She stared at him, shaking with anger, watching her first love crumble into cowardice. The aftermath was brutal. He wasn't fired, just suspended. She was the one who had to transfer. As her mother knocked on her window, trying to talk to her, Humor turned away. What was the point? The world wasn't fair. In that moment, she wondered if poverty was the original sin she could never escape. It was still dark when her dad drove through the night, the old van rattling on empty roads just to get her to Seoul. Just parked outside the school and humbly asked the teacher to accept her. He helped arrange the small rental house, carried her bags inside, and tried to comfort her like it was all going to be fine. From his worn-out pocket, he pulled out $12, money for her living expenses. But instead of feeling grateful, she burned with frustration. She told him to leave, her voice sharp, her face cold. On the surface, it looked like anger, but inside it was something. When her dad finally turned the key and the old van started, something inside her cracked. She ran after him, waving, and signed the words she couldn't bring herself to say out loud, "I'm so sorry." He just smiled from behind the glass, told her to go back, and drove off into the distance. Seoul was supposed to be a new beginning, but in class, her mind drifted, lessons blurred together, and when the college entrance exam results came, the outcome wasn't a surprise. She hadn't made it. She just didn't know what to do next. Then her dad called. The news was worse than she imagined. His clothing shop was barely surviving, and her mom had suddenly developed Alzheimer's. Her chest tightened. Why did life feel like one endless wave of bad news? And why did it all seem to land on her shoulders? Her dad carefully asked about her results, and before she could think, a lie slipped out. She told him she'd gotten in. It wasn't about protecting herself from guilt. It was about shielding them from another blow. They had already given everything to get her there. She couldn't hand them failure on top of it. The thing about lies is, once they're born, they multiply. Her mom and dad came to Seoul to see her, believing they were visiting their daughter at college. Humor stood at the gate, pretending she'd just come back from the opening ceremony. Her dad had a surprise for her, her very own Samsung phone. He'd never even owned one himself, but said young people needed these things. They even brought a fancy fruit basket for the landlord. Her stomach twisted with guilt. But it was fine, she told herself. She just needed to study hard, get in for real, and then all of this would be true. She used the tuition money her father had given her to enroll in a cram school instead. The rental she shared happened to have another tenant, Han Ji-won, a sophomore from Lee Hsien Women's University. He found out from the landlord that they were supposedly classmates, so Humor had no choice but to keep the act going. She told him she was in the same college, and he even invited her to the university magazine's dinner. He suggested she join the hometown association, but that was risky. If someone from her real hometown recognized her, everything would crumble. So she created another layer to the lie. She said her family only had relatives in Hongchuan, but they'd lived in the United States before because her dad did business there. Their eyes lit up. Suddenly, she wasn't just a student. She was exotic, interesting, admired. That admiration was addictive. Humor felt like she had a natural talent for making up stories. Then, at a school magazine event, she met a guy. He was kind, attentive, and when he kissed her, it felt like the most natural thing in the world to become his girlfriend. She was fully living her fake college life now. Everyone in Seoul seemed fashionable, so she followed. Makeup, new clothes, trendy hair. She didn't want to look like she didn't belong. Most of her dad's money went into keeping up appearances. Her studies slipped further and further away until, eventually, she failed the exam again. Then came an unexpected twist. Her boyfriend told her he was going to study in the United States. He asked if, after he graduated, she would marry him and join him there. Her heart raced. This was it. The life she'd never dared to dream. Leaving Korea, escaping the weight of all her mistakes. She hid her excitement, smiled calmly, and agreed. After marriage, he said he could cover her living expenses, but she'd have to find a way to pay for her tuition. Without hesitation, she called her dad again, pleading for help. She knew he would find a way, just like he always had. The day of departure came. Wearing her favorite green coat, she stood at the airport next to her boyfriend. The boarding gates to America were just ahead, and she felt like her life was finally about to take off. All the ugly, messy parts of her past would be left behind. She smiled at him, her heart light for the first time in years. But fate doesn't take bribes. His mother called. She had searched the university records. Humor's name wasn't there. She wasn't a student, and the identity she'd been living was built on air. Within minutes, she was standing outside the airport, bags in hand, the cold wind biting at her face. The fairy tale was over. She wasn't the Cinderella who married the prince or the ugly duckling that became a swan. She was just someone standing in the ruins of her own lies, realizing even the glass slipper had been fake all along. Life had found a way to bring her back to rock bottom, And this time, there was no pretending left. Awakened from a deep sleep, a sudden phone call delivers the devastating news. Her father has passed away. It turns out, before leaving for America, he was already battling terminal cancer, but kept it a secret to avoid burdening the family. Hurrying home overnight, Humor is faced with the task of organizing the funeral and dealing with the family suit shop, which nobody wants to buy. With a mountain of bills, most of the debt was taken out for her benefit, a reality she had always known but never wanted to face. And so, the full weight of the family's financial burden falls on her shoulders. Entrusting her mother to a kind neighbor, she returns to Seoul and begins to work nonstop, taking on as many part-time jobs as possible. 5 years fly by, and Humor is now 26, still wondering when this relentless grind will ever end. A new part-time job appears in a secluded, wealthy neighborhood. It's an administrative assistant position at a family-run business, owned by a writer named Mr. Lieutenant. The role is more than an administrative assistant. It's essentially a personal assistant to the boss's daughter, Anna, or rather, a servant. Little does Humor know that this seemingly mundane job will be a life-changing turning point. Anna's father isn't just a writer. His family also owns hospitals and art galleries. Anna herself, having recently returned from America, runs an accessories store. Though it's more of a hobby for the wealthy than a serious business, Humor's job is to handle everything from store errands to Anna's personal life. One day, while dropping off some of Anna's clothes, she sees a pair of red high heels left on the floor in the empty house. She can't resist trying them on, curious about what it feels like to wear something so expensive. The light catches the ankle, and the shoes fit perfectly, feeling elegant and beautiful. In that moment, she feels a desire to become Anna. 3 years pass at the job, spent shipping goods, running the cash register, cleaning, and doing Anna's personal errands at a moment's notice. Occasionally, Anna and her mother show what they consider to be generosity. Anna gives Humor a Swiss brand watch, telling her to keep it a secret from the other employees. She also takes Humor out for late-night meals at expensive restaurants and shares gossip about her friends. Humor notices that the generosity feels hollow, but is too exhausted from working late nights to care. With only 1 day off a month, she hasn't taken a single day of leave in 3 years. One day, a text message from her mother, who has learned to type, arrives, saying she misses her. Wanting to go home and see her parent, Humor asks Mr. Lee for a day off. But instead of granting the request, Mr. Lee scolds her, saying that those who live like this are lazy and stupid. He belittles her and others like her, comparing them to sheep and asking how they can expect to achieve anything. With tears welling up, Humor remains silent, unable to talk back, and realizes that the rich take their privilege for granted, seeing the poor as nothing more than outcasts. During her lowest moment, Anna arrives and asks Humor to book flights for her to spas in Paris and Helsinki. Anna then asks her if she feels sorry for her, a question that strikes Humor as absurd. She thinks that Anna has no idea what true unhappiness is, a person who can fly to Europe on a whim for a vacation, while she hasn't seen a parent in 3 years and hasn't had a single day off. Out of frustration, Humor blurts out, "Why should I worry about you?" Anna is surprised by the outburst but says nothing. Humor goes to book the flight, only to discover that Anna's passport is about to expire and needs a new one. Anna shoves the passport to the ground, an act of intentional humiliation, and makes a disparaging comment. At this point, Humor is too tired to dwell on it. Looking around the empty mansion, a bold idea begins to form. Why do I have to take this anymore? I'm sick of it. Here's Anna's passport and all her documents, her academic certificates. Why does she get to have a life of privilege without having to earn it? Why can't I be Anna? Why do I always have to be the underdog? And with that, her life takes another turn for the worse. The plan to seize a new identity is thwarted when she realizes the entire time Anna's slipper was a fake. She had Anna's passport and the money in the drawer and left the mansion. Back in downtown Seoul, she has since changed her name. Using Anna's study abroad experience in the United States, she falsified her resume. She became Anna. Anna is only a year older than her, so no one can tell when she changes it to her age. Besides, she will get married soon and live in America. With her stupid big rules, you should only feel like you lost your passport and just reissue it. She won't find it all. She found her previous roommate for support. He has become a journalist. She pretended to have just returned from studying in the United States, and she asked him to introduce her to a job offer. He is working as a teacher in an art tutoring school for studying abroad. To be more in line with women, she permed her hair just like Anna did. She also rented an expensive dress for the interview. Working with Anna for a few years, she's already familiar with how these rich people talk, walk, and smile. Her every move is apparently a replica of Anna. The dean of the cram school saw her, and there was no doubt about who she was. When she went to return her clothes, she wanted to return the watch that Anna gave her and exchange some money to spend. She didn't expect this watch to be a counterfeit. It turns out that Anna's occasional generosity and kindness are just hypocrisy. Thinking of this, she has no more tolerance for using her identity. Of course, she didn't study abroad, but it is not difficult to teach others to apply for study abroad. What she does best is observe and imitate. She pretended her sister was going abroad and went to several institutions for consultation. Returning, she copied what they said to her counselor and never showed a flaw. Only once, she bumped into the dean with a friend visiting. "It's Professor Yin Xiaoyan." He said, "This person is my senior. Why don't I know?" She was shocked to hear that. It seems that Anna is in America, Lou's senior when she was in graduate school. She's quickly thinking about what to do. Fortunately, Professor Yin took the initiative to rescue her. He said he had already graduated when she enrolled. She breathed a sigh of relief. She quickly found an excuse to get out to avoid continuing to talk and exposing herself. But she was careful, standing at the door and eavesdropping for a while. They talked about Anna being rich, famous among Korean students, and her degrees are just donated money. She doesn't go to school much, so none of her classmates knew Anna. That was very helpful information for her, so she doesn't have to worry. She met Anna's alumni association exposed. She came to the wholesale clothing market. All those Xiaox Yangfeng clothes were bought here. The styles are all imitation. It's not a problem for big names to be fake and real. Just then, she got a call from a student. She helped him get into Yale. He came and thanked her excitedly and said she was going to be her sister. The world is ridiculous. 2 more years passed. Her job at the tutoring school for studying abroad is even lighter. She's ripe. The students like her very much. The situation at home has gradually improved. Although her mother is eating more and more seriously, she doesn't remember her anymore, but her dad's shop is waiting to be demolished. And she got a demolition payment. She sent her mother to a nursing home in good condition. She took her mom to buy clothes and eat barbecue. Suddenly, the waiter asked her if she still knew him. He was competing with her back then, Paula of the dance competition. He envied that she must be very successful, the girl she was jealous of back then. Now you have become so down and out, and that blew her mind. If she hadn't pretended to be Anna, it might be her serving the baking pan here now. She must not let her class slide. The opportunity of life has come again. Professor Yin, who she met at the dean before, asked her out of the blue, throwing her an olive branch. He wanted to let her go to the Lifelong Education Institute of their university as an old man teacher. He frankly said that the reason why he found her, except that the dean of the tutoring school has a good evaluation of her. He also wants to accompany his influence at school. She was ecstatic. But she still remembers what Catherine taught her. Don't get angry. She just said lightly, "I will think about it." She only went to high school, and he became a university professor. But she teach no worse than those serious professors. Maybe it's because she cherished this opportunity so much. No class time, she's trying to teach herself the art room. She even became a star teacher at her school. Business has been smooth sailing. Colleague Professor Jin sees that she hasn't got married and started to introduce her enthusiastically. The other party is a fresh technology company. Its solid founders, Choi Ji-hoon. She got to know him again from her friend Ji-won. He came from a bad family, but the newcomer to the IT industry, he's very good at using media publicity. The company is developing very well, she sees. Here comes another opportunity for a class leap. She tried to cultivate a relationship with Choi Ji-hoon to his liking. The marriage was settled quickly. She went to see her mom once before we got married. He used sign language to tell her that he was dreaming about her. He dreamt that he had become a deer, looked at her from a distance and said, "Humor, why are you so sad?" She's been trying to be Anna in front of people. She almost forgot that she's still humorous. Only her mother still remembers the real me. It's time for both parties to meet their parents to discuss the wedding. Of course, she can't let her deaf mother show up. She paid for 2 images, an actor with a good temperament, to play as her parents. They didn't reveal any flaws, but she knows it's not enough. She gave them another sum of money. Make them think more about their hair and clothes. Only the hair and shoes are delicate enough to really see if someone is wealthy. The wedding was extravagant. This moment, she's no longer the one carrying the luggage. A down-and-out Cinderella with nowhere to go. She really became a princess. The groom announces the man. When taking a photo, father-in-law suddenly called a boy over to take pictures together and said it was brother Han's child. She didn't care either. After the wedding, she immediately sent her hired parents to the airport and pretended they live overseas to avoid the trouble of meeting again in the future. So she lived in a mansion, driving a Mercedes. Relying on her husband's relationship at school, she transferred from the College of Lifelong Education to the department. He became a real university professor. She also went to participate. The Lu Alumni Association lives in high society. This moment, her life experience is almost at its peak. She invited Jaiwan to eat expensive Japanese food. He suddenly asked her what the greatest advantage of being rich was. This question, probably no one can experience it more deeply than her. For her, it's just not having to be humble with others. Only she have experienced how good it feels to go from hell to heaven. Her husband has been very successful in the business world, and the next target is the candidate for consultation, sacrificing politics. This is also the dream of many wealthy people, but it's not what she wants. Becoming a politician's wife means her personal life will be exposed to the public eye. This is really dangerous for her, but she had no choice. She just have to be more careful. At a scholarship donation event, the sign language interpreter was late, and people were at a loss. She knew her chance had come. She calmly walked forward and did the interpreting in sign language. This move brought a big surprise to her husband. She had never told him that she could speak sign language. You can't take all your cards at once and expose them to others. That way, you can win by surprise. For Choi Ji-hoon, having a wife who can assist him in public welfare will definitely help his image in politics a lot. She needs to remind him from time to time that he needs her. We are not just husband and wife, but partners. Her husband's candidacy for Congress is gaining momentum, but just then, fate played another joke on her. Once, she came home and pressed the 23rd floor elevator button. She took a look at her beautiful shoes. Just then, the elevator's back on. A delicate woman came in with a dog in her arms. She pressed the button on the 24th floor. It turned out to be Anna. She was taken aback and hurried to lower her head for fear that she would recognize her. But the elevator space is so small. She kept looking back at her and still recognized her. Her name is here. He asked her if she worked here. Her heart was pounding. She dared not answer and didn't speak. She got out of the elevator. The composure that she was holding on to finally relaxed. Her legs were soft, and she squatted by the wall. How did she meet Anna here? Didn't he live in America? How could he also live in this building? What does she do next? It can be seen from his questioning that he has forgotten that she stole his passport and money, and didn't care at all. And Shi Maoming replaced him. He must not find out. She accompanied her husband to participate in the election as usual and attend dinner. She just have to sit there, elegant and unhurried and beautiful. Choi Ji-hoon just needs a decent lady to bear his perfect image and get closer to voters. To put it bluntly, she is a pedant. She knows when to speak, but most of the time it's just silence. She smiles and raise a glass and occasionally respond politely to two men's conversations. At the end of the day, she's always exhausted. Unexpectedly, she just got out of the car and met Anna again. Hey, no more Rudolph has heard it all, ha, ha, ha. He has gotten rid of her dress and car. She can see that she's not here to work part-time. She ignored him. She waited until he got on the elevator, and then she called the guy she used to work with. It turns out that Anna's father, Lee Wenji, died of a stroke. The company at home is about to go out of business. He went back to Korea to get a divorce while still running a clothing business in Seoul. She spent a lot of time in the office thinking about what to do. Finally, she summoned up the courage to ask her husband to move. She made an excuse and said there was no ventilation, and she didn't want voters to feel that we had too much luxury, but he refused. Without thinking, he said only by doing this can we set an example for others. If you just work hard to make money, you can live our life. He also took her. Their wedding photos are hung prominently. She knows it's not just for outsiders. He had a nice, decent family. It also reminds her of her responsibilities as a politician's wife. One day, when the elevator goes into a car accident, she met Anna's mother again. Fortunately, he doesn't see her very often. Calling again didn't recognize her at all. She heard it on his phone. Their family's financial situation is not very good now. His hospital was in deep debt and was about to sell the house. She went to the garage and waited for a while before the driver came. The driver came trotting over and bowed in apology. He said there was a car accident on the Inner Ring Expressway, so he was late. He just texted, "Let's come out 10 minutes later." Her husband is reluctant. Ask again why the car is so dirty. The driver explained that he washed his car yesterday, but it rained again in the early morning. He apologized repeatedly and said he would correct it. Just then, she heard from her husband's mouth what writer Lee said back then. Exactly the same words. He is a normal. English home, kill the wall. Please help me. Are you working hard? Saying that, she kicked you. A good driver. She can't do this anymore. She stepped forward to stop him, but he told her to go and stay put. He kicked him hard and screamed. He fired the driver, and he just drove away. She also stayed where she was. Did he punish her in this way? Once she came home. She's about to get on the elevator. Suddenly, she found that the elevator came from the 24th floor. She was afraid it was Anna, so she turned away immediately and climbed the stairs to the 24th floor. And she went home again and again. They all climbed the stairs. Another Anna who lives on the 24th floor, it was her worst nightmare, her fear, her Achilles heel. Until one day, she came up with high heels. She found Anna standing in front of her house holding a letter in his hand. It was sent to her house by the Yale Alumni Association. The recipient's name above is Lee Anna. He asked her to explain. She can't hide it anymore. Right now she's barefoot, standing in front of Anna in high heels. She can only pull everything out together. She knelt down and begged him to give her some time, and she stopped. But he wouldn't. He let her take out $3 billion in half a month as compensation for stealing his life. Otherwise, he would tell her husband. Before leaving, he didn't forget to mock her. Wherever you cry, it's Kay. It's Auntie. She fell into despair. She had no idea what to do. She doesn't have that kind of money at all. It is even less likely to misappropriate Choi Ji-hoon's property. She will be found by him. Where am I going to get so much money? When she was worried, the secretary told her that Choi Ji-hoon fell asleep in the car in the basement. She'll go pick him up. But there was a woman in the car. She can't fight for a while. She decided to leave him alone and called the police, saying someone was drunk driving. The next day at breakfast, she asked him casually why the police came last night. He said there was nothing wrong and changed the subject. He said he would create a scholarship fund in her name and she would be the chairperson. She knew it was for his election. She was annoyed. She goes from beginning to end. It's just a tool to assist him in his election. More and more media exposure is very bad for her, but he only has his own positive picture in mind. He told her again what he believed in. This country has no love for the weak, but it is very human to the strong. She knows he's right. He chose her because we were on the same page. But why am I getting more and more difficult to ride on this road? It's getting more and more painful. Choi Ji-hoon has found a new secretary who will follow his daily itinerary. His name is Zhao Yumei. The first time she saw him, he looked cautious and cautious. Just like her. Yumi, back then. Humor. Even the pronunciation of the name is a bit similar to hers. Anna's threat, her husband's warning. The $3 billion with nowhere to go, over and over in her mind, about to tear her apart. As she lay in pain, the maid suddenly came and said that the child needed surgery. She wants to take 2 days off tomorrow and the day after tomorrow to find someone to replace the shift. But tomorrow, the people from the election camp are coming to the house for dinner. Why do you need to take leave at this time? She can't fight for a while and yelled at him. She came with the little dang dang. Hey there! Aha, so many dicks for dicks. That crow's mouth, but I feel like what team it is. At this moment, she suddenly noticed Zhao Yumei standing in the distance, shivering. She was scolded for asking for leave like this back then. Have I become a writer like Lee now? She came back to her senses. Calm down. Tell the maid that I'm too sensitive. Let's do it. Yumi came to pick her up for her husband's political dinner. She couldn't help but chat with him on the way. She asked him if he found Choi Jin-hoon difficult to deal with. His answer was cautious and ingratiating. Ah, you didn't arrive. I'm tired. Go to this bird. You can get a material. I will tell you about this sport. It's serious during the holidays, but isn't it? No. Don't I know who my husband is? It seems that in order to survive, people can lie. Yumi went to the restaurant first to see if everyone was here. She'll go in when it's all done. She thinks back to the past. This is how she serves Anna. She doesn't know how many times she's attended this dinner. She just needs to sit here and hear how they plan to help her husband's election. Actually, she's not in the mood to listen. Her head is full of Anna's $3 billion. In the garage again. From a distance, she sees Anna's rose-red suit. The money still hasn't landed. His figure is like a thorn in her heart. She was kicked in the head by hatred and didn't fail the first gear. Put her foot on the accelerator and drive straight through. As soon as Anna disappears, everything can be done. No one will ever discover her secret identity. That's all for this video. Next time, we will continue Anna's story. If you like it, remember to follow the forest of 99 trees. I'm Komori. See you next time.